Live. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Slam Jam Championship Wrestling Show here on the Extreme Improv Xstreamed, as well as Slam Jam YouTube channels. Smash the subscribe button wherever you are. I'm David Postansky. This is Dave Jervis Green. How are you, Dave?
I'm not too bad. Still sweltering in the heat, not from SummerSlam, but just generally the weather of hell that we're all going through at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, are you acclimatizing to it at all?
We have good days and bad days, as to say that.
Do you know what, Dave? I'm just going to be honest. You've cursed me. I was feeling fine. You've said that, and instantly I'm feeling like I should have my fan on. Bear with me 1 second. I was like, God, he's right. I can't survive without this thing. But okay, I'll put it on one. I think I was coping. It's at this stage, it's psychosomatic, definitely.
Yeah. Well, my wife does call me like a heat magnet. So that even if it's not like all that hot, it's like I just retain all this heat during the day anyway. It just explode.
Oh, I thought you meant that you were just like upsetting people all the time. You're a heat magnet. So
no.
I genuinely thought that's what you were going for. I was like, okay, waiting for the play on words to pay off. So
no, definitely not. But no, it's been a longish week, but managed to watch SummerSlam, like not live, but I actually managed to stay relatively spoiler free. Bizarrely, even up to Tuesday morning, watching the start of night 2, and not knowing what the first surprise was at all.
Wow, what a surprise! What a surprise! And you know, the funny thing was, I can't remember. It's a couple of weeks ago since there was a show, but you're Kevin Owens, right? So I actually said about Kevin Owens coming out to Sami Zayn, not for SummerSlam, as a thing at SummerSlam, but like 2 weeks earlier when Sami was still world champion. I was like, oh yeah, and Kevin Owens is going to come out, and I didn't think it was on the cards for him to return anytime soon, if ever. I thought they'd actually been speaking about this as if we don't know, it may be it.
Yeah. Well, according to what he was saying, he didn't know until about a few weeks ago. And
wow. Now he's number 1 contender. So let's hope he was right. Let's hope they're right on that front.
Yeah, and considering the current WWE champion is not somebody he particularly likes, it's going to be very spicy feud, this one.
I wonder, because okay, so is it? I saw this clip, like RF shoots or whatever from years ago of Kevin Owens saying that Punk had said something to him about wearing a t-shirt, and then Punk had got really arsey with him, and he was like, "Oh, I was just trying to play along in the joke sort of thing." So I wonder if they still have heat, because surely they've got past this. There's a whole stuff about Owens is in tight with the Bullet Club, Bucks, and all this other kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, he is from their PWG years. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm just, they're grown up, so they'll handle it, and they're professionals. So I'm sure they'll be fine and just do whatever needs to be done. I mean, Punk will work with Rollins, and I'm sure it'll be fine with Owens.
I think their promo battles could be like absolutely fire.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm mostly looking forward to. But that's all I can really look forward to when it comes to CM Punk at the moment, is the promos.
Well, do you know? Okay, has CM Punk officially done a Jericho? Because when you think about it, Chris Jericho joined AEW, world champion, and it's like, man, they've got like the best wrestler WWE never fully appreciated. Now he's there. And now Jericho's reached the point where he's like some strange nostalgia act where him doing like a crossbody block to the outside is now seeming like, oh, that's a crazy move for someone like him to do. Yeah. Is Punk and his moonsault now just that level?
Oh, I went so hard at that. I mean, I was wincing bad enough during the whole match because that had to be one of the most boring matches I've ever seen in my life.
What went wrong?
They decided to have no sort of feud going into it apart from, oh, you accidentally whacked me with the title strap. It's basically it. The cops were any friction.
But you could still think that they could put on an entertaining. It didn't gel. It was slow. It was
yeah. There was a clip from that went around online, the Observer podcast between Meltzer and I forget the other guy's name, but he sort of made a good point of saying, why can't anyone find like a middle ground? It's either like you either have this fast-paced short match or you have this long extended match, things like that. And they don't seem to want to put them two together and like have a bit of a mishmash in that respect. You know, just it could have easily just been all done in 20 minutes, but they had to drag it out to half hour. And I think that's one of the reasons as well, is to try and pace these things to get just to be on for a long while to justify why you've got 2 nights of SummerSlam. You know, you could have easily just rounded it down to have a 10-match card and done it all in 4 hours.
Yeah. Okay. So you bring up a really good point. Let me just bring something up actually, because I did look at this, but I may have only looked at it after night 1 as we were going into night 2. Like when you think back to WrestleMania and how like the matches were so short and it was all just commercials and stuff like this, I think it felt like it was a bit of an improvement to some degree, but not radically. So Morgan and EO was 13 minutes, then LA Knight solo Bloodline 11 minutes, then 11 minutes Gunther, Oldest, 7 minutes Fatal Influence, which is back. Well, to be honest, it's Paige and the Bellas, so you don't want to drag that too far out, right? But I was going to say, you've got like 6 women in there, and they're given the shortest match, and it's like we're just falling back into give divas a chance territory with 7 minutes.
with a heel turn, which nobody was asking for.
Do you know what? That was like they should not be feuding with each other.
Although
we're friends, we want to fight. You know.
Yeah, I will say that. Yes, this is the thing that's going to be a bit confusing about it. First of all, I will give respect to Brie Bella for carrying on that and like going through half of that match with a broken shoulder or whatever it was that she's like end up receiving.
Oh, I didn't know that was a result.
That might have been a reason why it was short as well. It might have gone.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an outcome.
You don't see her clutching her shoulder throughout most of the match. When JC Jane did that rolling sort of tumble against her in the steps, she like smacked right into her shoulder, and like she's got it's broken in some like weird place or something. But anyway, but yeah, it's like what did Nikki say after Nikki Bella went to the camera after they'd done the turn on Page, which to be fair, she only her did, but you can see it was like both of them sort of going together. 2 things out of this. First of all, Nikki kept saying to the camera, "Yeah, don't think you go around here taking my spot." At Mania, you said you called a friend to play your spot. So that makes no sense.
No,
and also the funniest call of the night from Michael Cole, who I thought had an absolute shocker on commentary in this overall. I thought it was terrible.
Do you know what? Yeah, go on, tell me, because it was very late, so I didn't have tons of the commentary on.
It's the funniest thing. After the Bellas had turned on Page, he goes, these 3 women were like sisters. 2 of them are twins, Michael.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Oh, well. Okay. Well, look, let's break it down a bit more than this. But then I was just going to say Punk and Cody, 30 minutes. And then Ober and Brock, 11 minutes. So 3 of the matches were within 11 minutes. 1 was 7 minutes. 1 was 30 and 1 was 13.
Yeah, and the Ober and Brock match was longer than
my goodness, actually, sorry, Dave. Just having a look at night 2. 8 minutes 30, 9 minutes, 13 minutes, 6 minutes 50. Thank God, though, that was the Danhausen match. Didn't need any more. 11 minutes for Chad. You think, so the AAA match, that went forever. That went forever, that match. El Grande versus El Grande. And I think they've almost dropped the ball already on Chad. But we'll get to that. I think that what they've done, they've carved him out into this tiny little everyone from Mexico is forgiving you state, because they continued it on Raw still, right? But anyway, and then Roman was 33 minutes. But okay, so yeah, let's go over night 1. Morgan and EO, any particular comments on that? I was pleased that Liv Morgan kept it at this stage, just because if she loses it, I don't know really where you go with her, but she hasn't had many feuds or whatever since she won it.
Well, she hasn't had any title defenses either.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
100 days on the thing. I was shocked at that stat. Not even on house shows. It's like, really? Can't just do a random house show because this is the old school fan in me. And David, you'll go with it on this. How Gorilla Monsoon on commentary always hammered home that the champions had to defend their titles every 30 days.
30 days, yes, I agree.
Gone since Roman's reign as Roman's reign.
Well, I think Brock started that problem.
On Brock as well,
yeah. Brock started that. Well, see, here's the thing. We'll get to Brock, but his deal from when he came back 10, 12, 14 years ago, that he was there so sporadically. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Right? So sporadically that, you know, if they're going to make him champion, they had to kind of completely ignore that rule, and they'd use the Heyman factor of, oh, well, contracts, deals, and etc., etc. But people then surrounding the sphere of Paul Heyman were just like, I want the Brock deal. You know, I want to be a featured attraction 4 times a year. And you know, it's completely killing. Something I was thinking on watching Raw is there's so many people that you're like, when are they going to get a world title run? And this has been the case for a number of years now. Like Cody was one of them, but now Cody's in that picture. He's like, let's just keep it to us 3 or 4 people. And if you have world champions that don't defend, you know, except for once every 3 months, then it doesn't feel like they've really done anything by the time they then lose it. So it means that there is not a place for anyone, just because it feels like their appearances on television are just in chat show segments.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I wouldn't mind it so much if it weren't for the fact that they had the champions on the TV and they do, like I say, the chatting most of the time, and it's just talking and all that sort of stuff. I don't necessarily need to see the champion in action every single week or every month, things like that. It should be built up to. You know, again, going old school. When Hulk Hogan was like main eventing and either challenging for a title or being the champion, he wasn't on Superstars, he wasn't on Wrestling Challenge. You saw him on pay-per-view, or every now and then on Saturday Night's Main Event. That was where you saw him, if it wasn't on house shows and things. But certainly when I started watching it, I never saw him outside of pay-per-view or Saturday Night's Main Event. That was where you saw him. So I don't necessarily mind them doing that sort of thing with the main event guys and things like that. So then what do? You put all the other people into competition. So you got all these people doing contenders matches or things like that, building up the next couple of people to do it. And they're doing, but then you've got Roman just utterly crapping on like just about everybody. And I know it's part of his character. I know sort of character is sort of like just sort of only take importance in what only take notice of what's important in terms of what the Bloodline are doing and what's happening in that sphere, things like that. But to then, you know, the promo with LA Knight, him saying, "Oh wow, you won a 6-man tag. Whoop-de-doo." That was basically his sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, well, no, didn't just win a 6-man tag. He beat 3 of your guys, dude. So that's kind of like, and with a guy you're trying to get into the group. So I think you'd have taken that a little bit more seriously. But also at the end of Raw, that teaser thing with Rey Mysterio. Mysterio going, "Oh, you know, on the GM for AAA, right?" And Roman's response was, "I do now."
Yeah, exactly.
AAA.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, I'm sure the Undertaker was somewhere just going like, like this. It's like it's his baby or whatever. But yeah, exactly. There is the side. Well, are the Bloodline heels again? If it certainly feels like it's very much the case. Like when it was Jacob and Keys main event Raw, and Roman came out. Do you know, I'm in a complete blur of Raw. I watched it live, but because it was the 3rd night in a row of live wrestling, it's like it feels like a vague memory in my head.
So this is why I'm probably going to start really. I mean, I don't necessarily watch them live a lot of time anyway, but I'm probably going to wait for the full like edit to be done, because I watched the last 2 matches of night 2. Like after it had gone, after the live sort of stuff from Netflix had gone, they condensed it. So I saw they'd went from the end of the Danhausen match and they faded and went straight to Chad Gable's entrance. And it's like,
wow,
all the advert crap has gone. Oh my God, brilliant. They even cut out that weird thing that was celebrating with Chad at the end of his match as well. It just celebrated with his family and did his promo thing.
Yeah.
And then it faded to the
man in a tiger head. or something.
Yeah, Netflix are cutting all that crap out of the replays.
That's good.
Which makes it so much more palatable, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so like
about the advertising.
Jacob obviously brutalizes a lot of people, but he brutalized Keys, and then Roman comes out, and it's just like throwing the ones up, and they were booing.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, so we're literally just going back to 2022 Bloodline, but this time, yeah, go ahead.
It's what LA Knight's been saying.
Yeah,
or proving him right. He's been the one that's been saying this is what's going to happen. They're going back to take over again. So it's kind of molding back to that. The Jacob Fatu stuff, I'm actually quite enjoying in terms of his sort of character, how he's gone from the sort of thing of I want to be on top, I want to be the head of the table, all that sort of stuff, but then losing the tribal combat match. Yeah. And it's almost like he's just been completely reprogrammed. He's been almost brainwashed himself to the point where he only does what Roman does. And that's, I think, when the heel turn started for Roman, because he realized he's got an absolute ultimate weapon here. And they got that angle where Fatu beat the guy from John Cena's movie up and things like that. And then Roman told him that, like, stopped him and then went, go on, do it. Then
I don't what was that?
This is a while ago. This wasn't on the recent. This is a while ago. This was like night after or week after the tribal combat match. A while ago when Jacob made that sort of turn. And it's just this thing. He's got this weapon that only does what he says.
What does it kind of say about Jacob though? Because before he was just I love you Solo, and it's just like he for someone that wants to be like the top dog, he does fall into line quite he commits to falling in line.
Yeah. I find it quite interesting, but I think the idea now is what they do to break him out of that. Does someone sort of get back to him and say, no, you've got to stop this. This is and finally get him out of that thing. It's like it's been brainwashed.
Yeah.
So
I wonder though, the interesting thing, because like the missing piece of the puzzle is Solo, who suddenly now they've turned him face. Is getting over. Well, yeah, but he always clearly, months ago we were saying, this when you see this guy just interacting with people, he's got tons of personality, and now he's showing it, and and it's getting over. What
usually happens to wrestlers that start showing personality and start organically getting over with the fans, don't we? It always works out, doesn't it, Zack Ryder? Doesn't it?
Well, but is it different now? Not under Vince's reign. Like, okay, is there examples of someone being crushed under Triple H's reign? Because I can't think who. Carrie, yes, exactly. I knew there was a good example of it. But is there another one? Okay, so I guess. Well, look, R-Truth. They brought him back. They completely changed his. Yeah, exactly. There are some, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, we had Solo, Knight, and Keys against the Bloodline, and it was.
I didn't say about Liv and it was a perfectly good match. Perfect. These matches I think were a perfect length actually for what they were doing, and they were good performances and things like that. And the 6-man was fine as well. I actually quite liked Jay's sell of the BFT or whatever it's called at the end, which basically landed on top of his head. That was a good little bit there. His spear is fucking terrible. He needs to be taking notes off of Seth Rollins for good spears.
This is where like he shouldn't be doing a spear. So few people should do a spear. Like Bron Breakker, we've said this before. You could kind of obviously you can't take it from Roman, but you could kind of say, okay, these 3 people make sense to do a spear, and no one else should do. That's now someone's move. We're gonna leave it with them, kind of thing. Yeah, okay, next up though, we had Gunther on his reign of retiring people, but not Brock Lesnar. So that has to be some
money on the table. Money on the table, and they fucking squandered it anyway.
Yeah, it's true. We'll never get that match now.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I popped hard for Nick Aldis coming out to Oasis. That was fucking great.
Yeah, I wonder how that came about. because obviously he needed a theme, and they were just like, "Well, what do you want?" Sort of.
I think that's what it said in the interview. What would you ultimately want? I think he said, "I'd love more in Glory by Oasis," but and obviously they just
pulled it off.
went into it, and he came to him and said, "It's on." And so they had
That's
that. So,
great.
was the National Treasure? Is that his nickname in the NWA or something?
It was,
So
yeah, definitely, yeah.
all right, fair enough. But it was. I was never a massive Magnus fan back in the day and things like that, but I always thought he was a perfectly competent wrestler and things like that. And it looked like he didn't miss a beat in this one against Gunter. It looked great.
I thought he looked really good, and it didn't. Well, yeah, exactly. It didn't feel like Gunther was carrying him through it.
Definitely
It felt like it was he was obviously Gunther will kind of carry any match he's in a sense, just because he's the ring general. But it felt like Aldis was doing, as best I remember, the stuff that I think he does. He was very much a 1980s throwback kind of wrestler of, his big move being an elbow drop and then just suplexes and headlocks and stuff like this anyway.
Kingsling Cloverleaf.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, the one thing I remember that I would have wanted in that is when Aldis got him in the sleeper himself, they should have left that for a minute and a half. They should have really just made us believe that Gunther was going to be put to his own move, kind of thing.
I did say to my mate Neil that I was watching it with, I said this could actually be a finish because Gunther does like to do the cowardly tap out as a finish.
True.
Like a quick tap out, sort of like that thing has done that, or a panicky tap out, maybe, or cowardly, maybe. But he does get into situations where he panics, like I did with Jey Uso and the like, and things like that. Also, as well, though, just on a little side tangent, again, another example of Michael Cole's terrible commentary. He called Nick Aldis hitting a body slam on Gunther a Michinoku driver.
Oh, okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he went Michinoku driver, or he's a version of it. He didn't get all of it. It's like, it's a body slam, Michael. It's the most basic move in all of wrestling.
I mean, I suppose the setup, but if you don't drop on your butt, it's not happening.
It was just a body slam.
I don't know.
I don't know what he was thinking. He was so overexcited for everything Aldis was doing. He just called that a Michinoku driver. Very bizarre. But yeah, no, I quite agree with actually that they could have done the submission things like that, and even the finish I think could have actually been a little bit longer as well. I did go, oh, when he tapped, as in like that's a shame. But it was a good effort, and I did like that it sort of didn't go any further from that point. It was no like post-match attack or anything like that. It was more like Gunther's like, right, I've done my job, put him in his place, and he's sort of left sort of his own devices and things like that with Mickey and their kid and all that sort of stuff at the end, which is nice to see. Surprising lack of a pop for Mickey James, I thought, when they showed her on camera on screen.
Yeah.
That was quite worrying. I was like, oh, do people realise that's Mickey James? Or I wonder if the general reaction was, she looks familiar.
Yeah. No, it was good with Gunther because when he got out of the ring, he was like, "Oh, that was harder than I expected." He literally said something like that, and then obviously that leads into the surprise the next night, where they've then had Gunther come out and he kind of shakes his hand. So I guess it's kind of bygones be bygones there, kind of thing. Although arguably, if I was Gunther, knowing I was added to that match, and then a second later he's like, "Oh yeah, there's another surprise," and then that guy wins, I'd be like, "You screwed me again."
Yeah, it's great. I thought it's perfect. He screwed like Sammy, and he screwed Gunther a little bit. So like, yeah, okay, I'll get one more little thing over on you just now. So that's it.
Do you think Aldis will have any more matches? I think he will, but yeah, I think they will. I think they need to be careful that they don't make him some weird. I don't think he's enough of a special attraction where it's like you bring him out. Well, it's like, oh, we need someone else for our Survivor Series team. I don't think he's that meaningful, right? Because
that's what they'll probably do with him, though, is that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Person. There's nobody else on this roster. I'll have to be me. So,
I think there's definitely a story they could, if they want to just get him back into a match, they could probably find a way of doing it with Randy Orton, because this is what kind of was the case where you thought that was going to happen before.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Next
or
up,
even just a surprise Rumble entry.
Yeah, true.
Anyway.
Although if yeah, he could be a surprise Rumble entry, but they shouldn't do stuff with Orton because obviously Orton we'll get to again returned, and Orton they need to put the world title on him to make this a thing, so that if they're ever going to go for the story that's waiting for them on a platter of will he be beating Cena's 17-time world champion, he needs to win it, lose it a couple of times to be in that picture, basically.
Yeah.
Next up, Fatal Influence and the Bellas. It was what it was. What was kind of touched on that. Page turn. Punk and Rhodes, we kind of touched on, but anything particular else on that? Obviously,
it all happened. 25 minutes went by, then the last 5 minutes were actually reasonably interesting.
Yeah.
Punk landing on his feet on the table and sliding off was quite hilarious. Then obviously the crooked moonsault.
Punk did what? What was this? The flying elbow?
Yeah, the elbow. He sort of landed on his feet on the. It sort of slid on his feet, and his feet connected first.
I don't honestly remember, but
it was,
okay.
Hilarious. But as I say, they need to stop doing these fucking long matches. I'm so sick of it. Excuse my language. But it's just
it's true.
They're too long and laborious. And I know that this is the thing. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, can't wait for they should be doing." They kept saying AEW should have done a Rhodes versus Punk. They should have done it. They should have done it. I think on the basis of this, they were probably wise not to.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone was so looking forward to these two going at it. I know they're two names, but they're not amazing wrestlers in terms of they're great, and obviously in terms of the psychology and things like that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's nothing exciting.
Do you know, like, there's so many times though where you can't. This isn't a dream match, but there's been times where there's been like, oh, imagine this. And when you actually put them together, some people just don't click the way you think they would. Like when we got Rob Van Dam versus Shawn Michaels, and people were like, "This is the dream match," and it was just like, "This isn't anything special." You know, when you got Jericho and Triple H, that wasn't anything special. Well, on paper, it should have been, and this just happens sometimes, I guess. But okay, so. Oh yeah, so Orton returned, attacked Cody. Obviously, that makes sense following Mania. It doesn't make sense in that the reason he turned on him was because he wanted the world title and he didn't attack the world champion.
Well, I mean, they could just excuse it and saying, right, you know what, you're already not the champion. I'm going to make sure you're not the champion anymore because you injured me at Mania. I've been out since Mania. It's because of you. So, you know, perfectly, I think, feasible to do that. And obviously put some hat in the ring to go against Punk, which they haven't done yet since they've been back. So that's a reasonably fresh match. And they always had good matches, actually, Punk and Orton, to be fair. That would be better. But as I say, they've obviously neither of them are the number one contender because Kevin Owens is. So it's going to be there's more interest there. And I think this is probably an excuse to sort of have Orton beat Cody because obviously the title's not going to be involved anymore. So
when is Orton? Not Orton. When is Owens getting his match?
I don't know. I haven't said.
Okay. So Kevin Owens' return shakes up SmackDown. That's not the image I'm seeing. Oh, okay. I've got it on the wrong browser. Let's just.
It'll be on tonight, though, and it'll be obviously much clearer after.
Yeah.
You've got obviously the whole thing with the four of them, but you've also got Sammy, who no doubt will be wanting another title shot, wanting another shot. Gunter will be wanting another shot. Finn Balor, to an extent, probably will be wanting another shot as well because he kind of got screwed too.
Yes, so, absolutely.
Yeah.
So many. Do you know? I think they have a roster at the moment where they need to go kind of a little bit attitude era, where it's just like, oh my god, this year was crazy. Where it's like you've got so many top guys, because otherwise some people just never get it. This is why you've ended up in the position where I think Finn Balor was world champion 10 years ago for a day, and they've never found a chance just to give him, with 2 world titles, another one. Obviously. Gunther should be world champion again at some point, capitalizing on him retiring everyone, and and then they're not building from this. Again, we'll get to Chad Gable.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many people. Jacob, Chad Gable, Dominic Mysterio, you could even say at a certain point. But instead, it's always just Cody, Roman, and I guess now Punk. But okay, then we had Oba, who is another one. But they could hold off on him being world champion until Mania. But if they don't give him world title by Mania, I don't know who his opponent would be. And then if he doesn't win it by this time next year, it will just they won't capture the moment with him, basically.
It'll probably be he's either winning the Rumble or he's going to obviously cash in this title shot that he postponed for SummerSlam.
Yes.
So he's obviously won the King of the Ring, didn't he? So,
did you see his promo on Raw? Did he even mention that he's got a world title shot?
I haven't watched it. I didn't watch all
of it. I don't think he did.
I watched highlights, but I don't remember him saying it.
He kind of established that he had something more valuable than a title shot. Because Brock passed the torch. He was like, I have the torch, and I will carry this torch. And I'm like, this is going to turn into a new Ulafala in that who has the torch kind of thing. But okay, so Brock had his final match for the second time against Obafemi. And it was all right.
Yeah.
It did the job. They bumped into the cage a few times, but mostly
it.
Yeah, it didn't need to be a sell at all.
And there was this one little bit that I thought I don't say earlier that obviously this match was obviously twice the length of both their previous matches. Or if you put both the previous matches combined, I think this one was still longer than both of them. But I'm just guessing. The thing that was quite, I thought was really not funny but interesting was, and I think it just goes to obviously Oba's lack of experience in sort of learning to sort of sell the moves a little bit. Was that obviously when Brock did the F5, did he actually do an F5 in this match? I can't remember if he actually did it.
I think he did.
He did, and he kicked out. But he only did one. If he did, he only did once. Which is weird. Previous matches they've been spamming finishers, but
did Brock pulled up all of the padding?
Yeah.
Did he actually manage to hit the F5 and he kicked out?
No, I think if I'm remembering rightly, maybe he hit the F5 before all that, kicked out, and then went to pull up the mat and the padding and all that sort of stuff. Because then he put him in the position for it, but then he did the cutthroat, which went into the position for the part of the tombstone. So he did the tombstone onto the boards, didn't he? There was just one unfortunate bit. Is that went through the cutthroat, but Oba already started moving into position for the tombstone. So he's like, so he ended up going, and put him in the position for it. And I'm fine with Oba kicking out of that, but then to sort of like just immediately pop up for the powerbomb finish, and then almost immediately picking up for that. Because then he went for the F5 and counted that into the powerbomb, didn't he? And they missed the boards. So I don't know if they were actually intending it.
Okay, so I'll take a slight risk by bringing this up here. So just look at Brock's face. He's like, oh God.
Or is he going, oh God, or is he going, oh thank God for that? Because
maybe, he could be. He could be.
My point
clearly that was the plan.
Because my point would have been this one, that if this is going to be his last bump he ever takes, he probably either would have wanted to take them on the boards and do it there. But if they missed it, and my thing was in the group chat, I said, well, if he was that adamant about taking the move on the boards, why didn't he get the shoulder up and call an audible and say to Oba, do it again on the boards?
Yeah, he should have done
on there if it's the last bump he ever was going to take. But then I suppose the argument he would have had was he just took Oba's finish and he shouldn't be kicking out of it as he didn't at Mania.
True. It means that they're in a hell in a cell either way, but so it still means he got a clean win versus this more devastating version. But it could also be, can you call an audible like that with Oba on the finish, or would have you really just been like, oh, what's going on?
Right, but it would have been a case of getting. I don't know, because
it's not like Brock should have then just popped up.
Very easy for me to be sitting there giving credit because I'm not the one in there taking the move. So it's
fair play. Okay, night 2. Kevin Owens returned. Balor, Gunther, Sammy, as we mentioned, kind of covered that. 8 minutes 30, fatal 4-way. That's just disgusting. I hadn't even really paid attention to it being that short.
It was all action. It didn't need to be any more than 10 minutes or so. It was all action. There was no like let up and anything like that. I had a nice moment with Sammy and Kevin sort of hugging and then just fighting as they usually did before. I'm sure they might go into it a bit more on SmackDown if they do get a chance to, because obviously the last match that Owens had was that brawl with Sammy in Montreal 18 months ago.
However, for the love of God, just say that they are friends, whether they are heel or face and the same or different. Stop having one turn on the other. It's so overdone now. Just be like, well, we know what the cards are between us, and we'll always, be brothers or whatever. Just don't have it so that they're meant to be bitter enemies anymore.
Yeah, that's fine. But I didn't mind it so much. It was what it was, and it was all action. I didn't mind it, and a nice way to bring Owens back into the fold.
Yeah. Next up, Trick, my friend, what did you do to me? Baron Corbin won the US title.
So recently, you've had releases or leaving of the company, people like Sheamus, or people like who else has gone recently? Asuka,
Kofi, Woods,
Kofi, Woods. All these people have gone. And you think, okay, now we're going to bring some new talent up. Put some new faces in there. No, let's re-sign Baron Corbin and put a fucking title on him.
I cannot fathom it. I don't understand why he came back. There was never a point. Like, people like, when he was playing as if he was down and out, right? That it had an amusement factor.
Yeah,
but there was never a point where I was sold on him as a pro wrestler.
Yeah, it's that thing. It's like, the character's great. Yeah, then he starts wrestling. And it's just boring again. And the fans were clamoring for Trick and Carmelo to have a pay-per-view match. And this could have been it. They could have done this at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Finally had those two, because there's a lot of history between those two. But now they're just going to insert Corbin into it. Have him win. Apparently, this win I read today, apparently it was a last-minute decision as well. So it wasn't even like
yeah, because you think they gave Trick a custom title, and normally when they do that, you think it's going to be there a little while.
Yeah.
But did he have it for 2 weeks? I guess that adds to the surprise factor of it, but yeah. Okay, then
I was shocked. I was actually quite shocked when
they. Go ahead. Go, sorry, Dave.
I thought they might do like a schmozzer or DQ, and sort of like to keep Corbin reasonably sort of protected a bit, like have him like get intentionally DQ'd or something like that, and then sort of continue the feud therein, but not have the title take off Trick. I don't understand the logic of taking the title from him.
No, me neither. Next up, though, a pleasant surprise: 5-way ladder match for the interim, which is an important word here. WWE Women's Championship, and Chelsea actually won it.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. Very pleasant. That's one result that did get spoiled on me, but I was quite happy to see it nonetheless. And I did like the finish, or like, because she obviously had the bit where she went up and everyone thought, she's going to win it, and then she doesn't. She gets trapped to the ladder, and that, and then suddenly the other four are just gone again, and then she like springs back into it. I'm like, and everyone's like, yes,
yeah.
I think it's quite interesting that they're doing interim now. They've never done this before, but this is the thing that AEW sort of come out with a bit more, isn't it? It's probably more to do with UFC and TKO saying, we do interim champions there, so maybe we should do it here.
Did WWE did another one interim recently? Did they?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I remember how many times have AEW did it? Because obviously they did it during Punk with like Moxley and stuff.
Punk and Moxley. They did it with Sammy Guevara and Cody do the TNT title.
Oh yeah, they did it with Thunder Rosa when she was out. They had interim women's champion.
Yeah, and then when she was out for a long time, that's when they said, right, it's vacant, and or at least whoever was champion, Tony Storm, I think, was official champion then. And that's the way to do it. Well, Ripley's had minor surgery on this injury, first time in her life apparently. So Chelsea could end up being the official champion at some point soon if Rhea doesn't get back reasonably soon. But it's interesting that they've gone that way. But it's a nice little thing for Chelsea. It's almost reminiscent of when Zack Ryder won the IC title at Mania that time.
Oh my god! I saw a like on Twitter or TikTok or one of these ones where they like kind of lined up them climbing the ladder and getting the belt. It was a cool video. Next up though, we had Danhausen and his Minihausens and Dominic Mysterio. And oh, sorry, Human Money's on a pole match.
Yeah, I liked the setup for the match on Raw where he says Human Money's on a pole match, and Pierce goes, "What?" So like, and Brad Morrison just says to him, "Haven't you never watched wrestling?" So I thought it was quite a funny line. I don't mind Danhausen in terms of the funny lines and things like that, but when it's just it's too much sometimes with the "You Are Cursed" pyro stuff going on there, and I was so glad we did. I'm kind of glad we didn't have a show last week, us, because all we'd have been talking about was how fucking appalling that Joe Hendry Danhausen concert segment was. That was one of the worst segments in the history of the fucking company. I keep swearing. I'm sorry.
Okay, give me your opinion. That was entirely Danhausen's fault ultimately, though, right? Because his timing was bad in the song. So not only was it a bad idea, but it was executed poorly.
I don't think it was a good idea either. I think the execution. I didn't notice Danhausen's timing because I was too busy trying to plug my ears up with whatever I could to stop listening to it. I think Joe Hendry's just as culpable for it because he's the musician in this situation, so he's probably the one who's putting all this stuff in there, and then decide that you're just going to repeat this one freaking line over and 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 over. We'll get the Meehausens to dance. Oh no, we'll get these dancing girls out there who are either going to hold the mask in front of their face or they're not. They can't decide themselves, so they'll just do that and do it. Then we'll get random MMA fighter, UFC champion out, Ryan Garcia out to do that, and then he's the one who's going to hit Joe Hendry with the guitar because despite the fact he's not involved in the freaking segment or in the feud, that was just completely utterly random just to do a bit of cross promotion for his fight, and it was just so bad. And just doing the stuff with, I mean, we saw it all come in. It was fine. The former El Torito Hausen was fantastic. It was great in this. It's
interesting that they're kind of acknowledging him as Torito Hausen.
Yeah. Or Cole is, I think because a lot of people guessed, I think, from last time. Because I think I guessed from that tag match that he was the guest partner in. So I was watching it and thinking, I recognize this guy's like gait and his like moves and things like that, and realizing it was him, or as he's known now, I can't remember his name now in AAA, but it's
no idea.
He's one of their biggest sort of like stars in Mexico, and so it's good that they're getting him in to do the lion's share of the work, especially when I think two of the Minihausens were comedians. I think that I read somewhere.
Actual comedians.
I think one of them. Maybe not the one on SummerSlam. Maybe the ones on the TV have been. I think the other ones are from that show, Big Little Brawlers. Have you heard of that?
I vaguely heard the name.
It's like the Micro Championship Wrestling sort of federation or whatever they're called. So they're all capable of doing it. But just as you said earlier, though, thank God it was only as long as it was, because Dominic's a AAA mega champion, by the way.
Yes, exactly. This is the thing. Like I think I said in the group chat when it was happening, I was like, Dom beat John Cena in his like penultimate singles match. And had two of like the last three John Cena matches ever. And then this is what I mean. They're not capitalizing on people. That has always been a thing with WWE for forever, for decades. That when you've got things that are right there in front of you, someone's building some momentum, they've had a big win, they cool people down or they put them with stupid stuff. Because a couple of years ago, well, maybe even longer now, when Chad Gable, when people were like, he needs to get a win and that, he's only just got his singles title, but two, they immediately just put him with like the Wyatt Six slaughtering him, and then that being his story. It's like, but it was like people finally acknowledged, this guy's better than that. And then I personally think they've done it with Gable again. So he beat Penta, but I think they're going to put the belts back on Penta or something in a month's time or in 2 months' time. I don't think they have any. I don't think this run of Chad Gable as Intercontinental title champion is going to mean anything, because so far, ever since the AAA match, El Grande squared, he's just been on this tour of, oh well, I'm making amends and I've learned to respect Mexico culture. It's like, was much of that really necessary after the in-ring promo after that show? Couldn't it have just been like, okay, he's apologized, they clearly embraced him in the match anyway, and now it's just like, now he's getting back focused on his career, I'm about winning titles, and yeah, they'd want to see him go back to AAA, win the beat Dominic for it or whatever. Obviously, El Grande's got to win it first. Yeah. Maybe that's where they'll circle back around.
Yeah, I with respect, I don't think that's where they're going with it. I think that everything you've been sort of saying, sort of like the slightly negative sort of slant on, I think has been incredibly positive. I think they have done this build. What you've been saying there, I've been thinking I don't think there's anything wrong with this. They are by acknowledging. It's the first time they've ever done it with a wrestler, has acknowledged they've been a shit, and they're almost like doing the 5 steps or whatever, or 12 steps to getting back to that sort of like thing. And I think it's been quite a refreshing way of turning somebody back to face and getting.
But that match was 2 months ago. The El Grande match was like 2 months ago.
I know, and they've been building it up to this point, so he gets the title. So he finally gets that title, because it was him not getting the title or not being able to win the title from Gunter or from Sammy that sent him on this this down. And so it's all it's like a 2, and obviously he had the injury as well, which obviously kept him out for longer than they may have meant to. But then obviously the happy accident there in terms of that, because that they got Ludwig to play the new Grande, which then obviously ended up with that feud happening, and they just took all these things that happened that culminated in that feud, and he's been built up on that time, but he's been slowly but surely, like, he's been beating all the people in the mid card to sort of get that shot and to get that point. He gets a shot against a luchador who has said, "I forgive you," but
fair play. So
I think it's been a very good one. And now like I said, I didn't watch Raw. I think you said earlier that they're still doing this because he teamed with Penta or what have you. But now he's got the title. Now they can move on to something new. Now they can move on to a little bit, because they've got that mid card sort of. I don't want to compare it to like the SmackDown 6 from years ago. Do you remember when they all like had the SmackDown 6 2001, whatever, or 2002, where it was like those guys were all about the tag titles. At the moment, IC title picture is Chad and Penta and Rusev and Ethan Page and Javon Evans and people like that are all in that sort of picture there. They've got a group of people there. Now they can start either cherry picking from there and getting people in and out that bit. They've probably taken Javon Evans out of there for the moment because they did the big Cass angle.
Speaking of Javon Evans on Raw, so Big Cass brutalized him. Then I don't know if you saw his backstage promo. It was just like, nothing against you, my friend. I was like, so why did you do it? It's just like, he could have come out at any point. So clearly what they now need to do is have Evans put over Cass. Otherwise it kills Cass straight out of his return.
I'm really surprised they brought him back as a heel. I thought with all those vignettes, they had a face character going for him. This is a guy who went through hell when he got released. He had like 2 or 3 years of really bad, he was in really bad place, mental health. He had the seizure. He was falling out with friends and family and all that sort of stuff. And over that time, obviously they can't mention the fact that he's been in AEW, but they can say that he's got his life back together to the point where he's able to come back. And it just seemed like a face sort of thing to do. But then he's just come back and he's beating up a little guy again.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite. It wasn't El Cerrito this time, but
no.
Right. But they should have just had like, look, I've been rock bottom. And now I'm back to win belts and earn money. I've got a big bill to pay. Okay, so Roman and Seth is the last match from, and then we can quickly just cover anything else. Yeah. AEW had a pay-per-view a week ago, and do you know what? Actually, I watched that, but before I watched it, I saw that they'd got the what I think we'd spoken about a few weeks ago, the Canadian Maple Leaf Wrestling on AEW Plus. So I ended up watching that for an hour before I got to the AEW pay-per-view a week ago, and yeah, it looked like TNA. It very much just felt like a smaller TNA style show, but yeah, it was all right.
Good.
Okay, let's say Roman and Seth, where they finally found peace between each other.
Yeah. I think I was sort of, as I had the group chat like on mute for most of the weekend because otherwise I would get spoiled on things. I sort of like was reading back over some of it. I saw you and Assad were like, I don't know if Assad was being like very sarcastic with it, but saying it was like, oh, a great match or what have you, and it was like a really fun matchup and things like that. And while it was definitely more action packed than Cody and Punk,
yeah.
Again, I thought this one dragged.
No, I agree. I enjoyed it. It was a good match, but a war. It's not a match which I'm going to remember more than many Roman main events from the last 4 or 5 years.
And it was one of those things as well. That it's like, make it a stipulation match. If you're going to do this whole thing where they brawl outside the ring for, I don't know how long it was, what, 10 minutes or something like that before they got back in the ring. And then when they went out of the ring after that 10 minutes, the next time they went out of the ring, one of the table spots, one of the powerbomb spots, the table, that's when the referee decides to lay the 10 count. I'm like, hello? It's like, get them back in the ring like earlier on. Just stop doing these huge brawls. I will say as well, though, this will make laugh. So I always sort of zone out a bit during the entrances, especially for Roman's entrance and things like that, because it's just so long. I put this match on. I was sat on the sofa until where Rollins had just like finished his entrance. I went just after Roman's music started. I think I saw a bit of him coming out on the stage. I went out, went to make myself a cup of tea, went to use the loo facilities, all that sort of stuff, like that. Went back, made fresh tea, all it off, did a little bit of clean up around the kitchen.
Yeah.
I took a good 7-8 minutes.
Yeah.
Before returning, and Roman had only just been ring announced. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
How long was this freaking entrance for Roman freaking Reigns?
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, it's just unbearable. Yeah, and I say the match was fine. I think Seth hit a better spear than Roman did at one point. And it was fine, but it's like, oh, especially when you know that the match is going to go a certain way as well. There was nothing in my core believed for a second that Rollins was winning the title.
Yeah,
there was just nothing to really get hooked on for me.
And for me, going back to the whole, he's hanging over the ropes, and all of this same thing about, is he going to hit him with the chair? Seth was going to hit him with the chair. Roman then decided not to. So how have they got peace? Seth would have gone for it.
I don't know. It's because Roman let it go at last. It was like, oh, okay, I'm going to let this go.
Yeah, but Seth would have done it again, you know.
Even though I'm going to point this out because this is still something that irritates me is when they treat wrestling fans like idiots that don't remember certain things. So the whole time they keep moaning about the fact that Rollins turned on the Shield, broke the Shield up, and all that sort of stuff. They very conveniently always never mention when the Shield reunited several times in the interim period. They did it several times. A whole thing with when Roman obviously had his cancer scare and they had to go away for a while. And they did the whole thing about that, where they got to get back together and all that stuff. They're acting like they did this angle like 10 years ago, whatever it was, and that nothing's ever happened since. And that Rollins has always beaten Reigns. Not true. Reigns beaten him several times as well. But just because it helps the story a bit more if they just slightly play with the actual truth of it.
Sure. What do you make of them? Like just like, oh, it's Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. We've got to put in some Dean Ambrose references. Like how, like, I genuinely don't know. Like, you might be able to just say it. How tight are these three as a unit? Because they were a group for like 3 years, or thereabouts. They had a few months reunion, a couple of times, as you say. The whole Roman cancer scare thing, I'm sure they all, like, they all get on and stuff. But obviously, you send Dean and Steph out to Roman then. But whether or not it was, I don't think it's never struck me that those have the same relationship as, like, when you see, like the New Day, for example. Where it feels like, oh, these guys really do have each other's backs and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And look, it may be like, well, there's the history there, so Ambrose will suddenly do Superman Punch or something in AEW, but they're like name dropping Dean Ambrose, and they've got like the mask to, like, oh, because we're gonna do, like, this was a weird Shield reunion for no reason that's going to lead to nothing.
They were acting. It was almost like he was dead. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I'm going to leave that mask down there because that's what I remember of him. It's like,
are they trying to entice him back? Yeah.
It's like you're referencing somebody who works for the other company. It may not be his name, but people do know, especially people going to SummerSlam. They're going to know this stuff.
Do you think there is a version of this where John Moxley ever returns to WWE? Because I haven't felt like that has ever actually been on the cards.
No, I think he's AEW till he retires. I think he's stick with them unless something drastic happens with AEW and he needs the work. But there's the money. But I mean, I'd imagine he's quite a frugal sort of person that doesn't like. He doesn't strike me as a sort of person who wastes his earnings and things like that.
I don't think Renee would let him, basically.
No, well, no, was obviously Renee and his child and their child, but it's not even that. You know, people who obviously have got families, but will have just spent money and not saved it and all that sort of stuff. And Moxley's never really struck me as that sort of person. Certainly not anymore, anyway. Since obviously he went through his rehab for drinking and everything about 8 years ago, so he seems a lot more. I think it's a lot more sensible than that. That's the impression I get sometimes. But no, I don't think, unless, like I say, unless something happens to AEW, I doubt we'll ever see Moxley back in WWE. But then, never say never. Stranger things have happened.
Never say never. Okay. Anything else of particular relevance, Dave?
Well, you mentioned about some of the stuff. We watched NXT this week. It's one of the shows I did watch, and they did this. So they did this thing. They've done 2 angles this week with blood capsules. So you mentioned Fatu and Royce Keys.
Yeah.
They did the thing where the blood capsule in his mouth, something like that. The blood capsule was just like there on the mat next to him or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that myself, but that's what I kept hearing. They did this NXT Underground match on the main event. It was the first time they put a title on the line for it. So it's Lola Vice challenging for the women's title against Kendall Gray. And they did this spot where Kendall got thrown, like, knocked off the ring apron and landed like side of her head on the ring steps. And they cut to like various replays of it happening. And when they cut back to it, it was just like they had like blood pouring out of her ear. That's what the effect they were going for. 1, clearly a blood capsule. 2, wrong ear. She landed this side, and the blood came out that side. So it was something that they didn't need to do. It was like they rebuilt it up. They built up this sort of rivalry between these two because they're like proper cross sports athletes. So Lola Vice was a legit MMA fighter. Kendall Gray was a legit collegiate wrestler. And they built it up simply on them having a sports person rivalry, as it were, not like a feud. They're both faces. So and it's good. It was a good way to end their feud because Lola's lost that match and now she's going to be called up. So she'll probably be on SmackDown this week or next. So we have somebody else that's called up. They'll end up just doing backstage segments, not actually being in the ring, much like Blake Monroe. But we'll see. Yeah, it was an interesting way to go about it and to. But it's just they didn't. It's just gimmicks for gimmicks' sake. I don't get why they have to sort of do it. It's like this, you don't need to do that much, especially for that show and that audience who are into the characters and into the concept of the underground match. So it is what it is. But it was just a bit of a shame that they sort of went in that way. And what was I going to say as well? They I haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to sort of like watching AEW from Arena Mexico. That sounded like it was a very fun show.
Yeah, this I ran out of time. I literally loaded up AEW Plus, and I was like, I don't have time to watch this before this show. In fact,
the last time they did it in Mexico was a really fun show and really good show. So I'm looking forward to that. Have you decided if you're going to bite the bullet to go to All In?
No, I haven't decided yet. It's I'll put it on the group chat. There's thoughts about that, but I'd like to. I'd even like to see what's the show? Is it like what's the UK company that's got the show on the day before or something at the Wembley? Yeah, Rev Pro, and they've got like
they built up their
stuff like this.
Well, they built their own guys up really well for this show coming up, so they've got a really good card for them. That's mostly is just pretty much everybody is on there apart from FTR are homegrown. There's not a lot of imports for this show, so everyone's been built up really nicely for this show. I don't know how they've done in terms of ticket sales so far, but they have had to change the FTR match because one of the guys that was in the tag team that was going to challenge them is out for the rest of the year, is in through injury. So I don't know what they're going to do there. So they might have to switch it up, get a new partner in for the other guy. But the tag team, the Young Guns, Ethan Allen has sadly gotten injured, as I say, on that one. So his partner Luke Jacobs is currently matchless now. And they're putting on the advertising as they're saying plus FTR will be in action or will be over. So which kind of with the knowledge that they're going to be over here, I imagine that they're going to be involved in All In some form or fashion, maybe interfering at the end of the tag title match. I don't know, but they're building to some sort of triple threat tag match with them, probably a TLC match or something with the three teams, but not happening over here though. But the cards are looking pretty tasty for Wembley, but it's not enough for me to really part my money, unfortunately. For it.
There'll probably be some last minute like cheap tickets or something.
30,000, just over 30,000 they sold for it now, so it's not even their best thing. Although apparently I did read it earlier that Tony Khan is very excited about the fact that they have they're already broken. They've already sold more than a recent sort of cup final that was there recently. It's like, oh, come on, 30,000. You're happy that it's again it's done better than Portsmouth versus Barnsley or whatever it was. That was there. Come on.
Yeah.
But it begs the question though. He's got a football stadium himself. He's got his own stadium for his own team. Why didn't they put it on there? There is 30,000 people in that stadium. They could have easily sold that place out.
Oh, I wonder. There's probably some politics, or maybe it's just like if he could run Madison Square Garden to stick it to WWE, coming to the UK, he wanted Wembley Stadium. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that first time around was the right decision because it was a very big seller. But
Dave, I was just having a quick look to see if there was any like late breaking news, and this is kind of the opposite to normal. I'm sure you probably already heard this, but I was just looking to see what news there was. And I didn't realize a couple of days ago Dory Funk Jr. passed away.
Yes, yeah, he did.
I completely had missed that, so that was a bit of a sad thing to see that has happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit and claim I know much about Dory Funk Jr. apart from the work he did with Terry, but
yeah, exactly.
It's a sad loss. I know he trained a lot of people that were very prevalent, so obviously his influence is going to be pretty huge. I do remember the story on one of the, I think it's the DVD. I've got a random DVD I bought was on the cheap. The history of the World Heavyweight Championship, and I can't remember who it was, but can't remember the person who was being interviewed. I think it might have been Gene Kiniski was being interviewed about him losing the title to Dory Funk Jr. and he made the claim that, and you see the footage of it. He says that Dory Funk got the spinning toe hold on me, and I thought that the match was a 2 out of 3 falls affair, as most of the title matches back then were. So I gave up on the first fall and forgetting that it was only a 1 fall contest. So I ended up like losing much earlier than I than expected, and I lost myself a lot of money and lost all that sort of stuff. I kind of think I thought, well, surely you'd have been told if you were winning or losing, but maybe it's supposed to go to a draw or something. I don't know, but apparently that's what he claimed, that he'd lost without really meaning to.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So on that note, let's wrap things up here.
Another breaking news, actually, from earlier on, that Raw is going to Ireland.
Oh.
In January, Monday 25th of January, 2027. They're going to be at the 3 Arena in Dublin.
Well, that will be an exciting show for those in that part of the town, but not for me.
I think they were teasing an announcement. I think a lot of people thought it might have been Clash at Dublin or something like that. They were do an announcement for him, but
yeah,
that's not it's Raw. But still, that's famous. That's leading up to the Royal Rumble, that one. So that's quite a good one to get, I suppose.
Yeah. Right. So, Dave, where can the people find you?
Oh, blimey. It's at David Jervis Green for various bits and pieces, and at LAPD Improv for my improv related stuff. And need to get some live shows. So if anyone wants any improvisers, hi, I'm here.
Amazing. My name is David Pistansky. You can find me at David Pistansky on all platforms, or Slam Jam Wrestling, or Slam Jam Show sometimes, on YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of these shenanigans. Right, so with that, until next time, stay safe, always stay extreme, keep slamming and jamming, you slam jam bronies. Boom, we're off the air.
We're off the air.
Awesome show, Dave.